Senator.
I think the Senator, he gets a prize as well. Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, as you well know, there is a huge sense of outrage in our country at what Wall Street has done through their greed, through their recklessness, and perhaps their illegal behavior in plunging us into this deep recession and bringing us to the cusp of a depression, all of which has impacted tens and tens of millions of people, hurt so many people. I want to express my view that I am concerned that the same people on Wall Street who were part of the problem are still in office, and they still have all of the power and all of the money that they used to. I am concerned there has not been a serious investigation explaining to the American people who caused this crisis. I have not seen the kind of prosecutions that I think should be done. So I would hope from the Treasury Department, we will begin to give confidence to the American people. You know, they talk about Wall Street wanting confidence from you. The question is, the American people have no confidence on Wall Street. So I would hope that we would see a more aggressive posture on the part of the Treasury Department in expressing the outrage that the American people feel about the greed on Wall Street. Now, of the many issues that all of us hear about, one of them that I hear a whole lot about is that at a time when the taxpayers of this country are providing hundreds of billions of dollars to bail out Wall Street is saying, thank you, we are going to charge you 15, 20, 25, 30% interest rates on the credit cards that we are issuing to you. That's very nice of those guys. We're bailing them out. They're getting zero interest loans from the Fed, and then they charge our people 25 or 30% interest. I am introducing today legislation that would cap interest rates in this country at 15%, co-sponsored by Secretary Durbin. It emulates, actually, what the Federal Credit Union Act does for credit unions. Many people don't know this, but credit unions cannot charge more than 15% interest rates with certain exceptions, then go up to 18%. Credit unions are not coming in here to be bailed out. So my question is, do you think it is time in this country for legislation to cap interest rates, to go back maybe to where the Bible took us, that says that it is immoral for financial institutions to charge middle-class people 25, 30%? Would you support a cap on interest rates?
Senator, I want to begin by saying I completely share your sense of basic outrage and anger. I understand how powerful it is across the country. You're absolutely right that the judgments made by the leaders of our financial institutions have caused a catastrophic loss of basic confidence. It's making everything worse. Everything we need to do to get recovery back on track is made worse by those basic judgments. Could not feel more strongly about this issue, and that's why the things we do have to be directed at making sure that we're getting more credit to the American people, not less. Now, on your specific, I'd like to look at your proposal in detail and give you a more thoughtful response. The basic test that we would have to apply to any proposal like that is, again, is it going to make it more likely that credit is available in reasonable terms or less likely? That's the basic balance we have to strike, but I'd be happy to take a careful look at your...
Mr. Secretary, all I would say is this concept has been in existence under the National Credit Union Administration. Now, credit unions are doing pretty well. They're lending out money to people who need it. They're not asking for bailouts of hundreds of billions of dollars. I think we should emulate what they are doing. Second point, you have raised with AIG, all of us know, this absurd concept of too big to fail. What I have said from the very beginning of this crisis is that if an institution is too big to fail, it is too big to exist. What are we doing now to break down and break up these organizations so that we're never again placed in a position to have to bail them out because of the systemic damage that would occur if they failed? Are we starting right now an investigation to say, sorry, Bank of America, sorry, Citigroup, sorry, AIGs of the world, we no longer can sustain institutions that are just so large that could cause so much damage if they failed?
Senator, you're absolutely right that we have to create a system that is less vulnerable to the kind of risk we've seen in this crisis, and part of that's going to require that we have much stronger oversight with much greater constraints on institutions that pose some potential damage to the system. And a critical priority of the President working with the Congress will be to put in place legislation which will achieve that objective. Now, right now, as you know, the government's assistance in AIG is conditioned on there being a very dramatic, substantial restructuring of that entity. And where we have to, if we have to take additional actions to help stabilize the system, we will make sure that those actions come with conditions that achieve.
Okay, very briefly, I mean, we don't have much time here. I voted against the repeal of Glass-Steagall. I argued with Greenspan every time we came before the House Financial Institutions Committee. I don't believe in unregulated financial institutions, et cetera. But on this key issue of too big to fail, I think we got to go back to where Teddy Roosevelt was. Do you agree? And start saying, sorry, we're going to break them up.
I completely agree that we don't want to put this country in a position in the future where we are vulnerable again, where the weakness in one institution causes the risk of great damage to the fabric of the American financial system. That basic objective has to underpin everything we do on the reform agenda, and we have to get it right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the senator.